We are so glad that you're here with us. And I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Bear with me as I go ahead and flip over. Of course, technical issues are not my friend this morning. Well, you can see where my head's at. Let's do this. So sorry, guys. When you are looking at it, are you able to see the notes? Are you able to see the... Okay, this...
Justin, tell that baby to say hello there. He's on the corner of the screen. I see him. It's good to see him.
Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hey, welcome,
Hey.
man. Welcome. Good to see you. What's your name?
What's your name? Say Hayden. He loves technology. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Keep him rolling.
Yeah. And his little brother's throwing food in the floor.
Well, that's what happens. Yeah. That's all good though. Don't worry a thing about that. When did you tell everybody my Halloween joke that I told you the other day about the scarecrow? I'm going to tell you all since we're kind of waiting. So why did the scarecrow get a promotion? Because he was outstanding in his field. Okay, y'all can boo now or clap or applaud or do whatever you or do whatever you want, but it's my Halloween.
I thought you were gonna say because he was crowing places.
Uh-oh, here we go. We got it.
We're not going to let you or Adam tell any further jokes.
No, I feel a mute coming on. Here we go. We've got dead air here, so I'm trying to fill a slot, fill a time. So I see, Adam, we're getting some funnies here in the chat. That's
yeah, Bennett would have loved that one, Kim. I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah. Hey Dale, good to see you. Good to see everybody.
Dr. Evans, Bennett has a Halloween joke for you.
I want to hear it.
Where do werewolves buy Christmas gifts?
I don't know, but I do want to hear this.
Beast buy.
It's better than mine. That was awesome, Bennett. And everybody, there was something not wrong with the link. I think something wrong with Zoom. So if you had a little trouble getting in, so did I. That's why you see 2 recharge grants on here today. And I'm actually in Lincoln County, and I may not be able to stay on. And here much longer as people are coming in, but good to see you all. I'm going to mute before Wendy takes my joke telling away.
Wendy, I did make it back in. That was like my absolute worst nightmare.
Oh, no worries. We had a great joke telling. Well, we had a mediocre joke telling. Bennett told a great one. Dr. Evans told a mediocre one. So it went well.
Well, I'm glad you guys could stay entertained while my computer just like went black.
No worries. No worries.
Ugh, the technical issues haunt me still.
We're all
right.
educators, so we deal with that. We're used to it. We completely understand.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you guys understanding. Let's see if I can get this up and working and actually functioning. All right. Are you guys just able to see my PowerPoint now? Beautiful. That's what I like to see. Thumbs up. Okay, well, hello. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Elsie Murley, and I'm the Teacher Resources Manager at the Kentucky Historical Society. And normally I don't have these technical issues, but today, of course, of all days, they are very much present. So I'm glad you guys are here to bear with me. So I'm here to kind of guide you guys through various resources that KHS has to offer educators. So we have 3 sites in downtown Frankfort that capture different aspects of Kentucky history. We have the Kentucky History Center, and this houses our exhibit that spans over 12,000 years of Kentucky history, spanning from indigenous nations that lived on the land before it was called Kentucky, all the way up until modern day. We also have the Old State Capitol up here at the top. And this is going to be our hub for civics education. And what our goal is to have patrons of all ages be able to come in and experience the Old State Capitol and really get to return back to Kentucky's early government days. And then lastly, we have this one here at the bottom. This is the Kentucky Military History Museum. As the name would give away, we focus on Kentucky's military history at this location. And this building, fun fact, used to be a state arsenal for more than 100 years. And during the Civil War, it was a munitions factory. So those are just a brief overview of all 3 sites we have here in Frankfort. But I'm here to share, because I'm sure most of you guys are not located in Franklin County, all the resources we have to offer you, even though you're not here in Frankfort. So this is going to be what we're talking about today, what we offer. So we have on-site field trips with learning labs, virtual experiences like virtual field trips, and then we also do virtual programming. We have in-classroom experiences spanning from our traveling trunks all the way to National History Day. And then last, I'm going to kind of go over our various online resources we have, and those are going to be our KHS digitalized resources. I just love to start off to share this out that most of our, or all of our KHS experiences meet the Kentucky academic standards for social studies at every single grade level. So I'm working on realigning our field trips, learning labs, and virtual experiences to strategically align with every single grade level. This will include both concept practice standards as well as inquiry standards. So what's on our website right now is going to be looking a little bit different in the coming months, but everything is aligned, rest assured. We're just trying to hone in on every single grade level. So we offer self-guided tours for our field trips of the History Center and the Kentucky Military History Museum. with introductions conducted by a member of our learning team here at KHS. The Old State Capitol is going to be a guided tour that allows students to participate in hands-on exploration. And then to accompany our field trips, we have several learning labs, and I'll talk about a few in more depth in the next couple of slides. But these are going to be classroom style lessons hosted in our very own KHS classroom. So on the screen, you'll see a few of the learning labs we have to offer: Frontier Fortress, Quills and Bills, Vote for Me, and we have 2 new learning labs that are getting started this year. We have Be a Curator, and then Kentucky Inventions. And like I said on the last slide, we're working on adding some more things for our to reach a wider array of grade levels, including those K2 classrooms, because I know a lot of the time when it comes to social studies, K2 teachers don't have a ton of resources. And my heart's in K2 education because I was a K2 teacher just 4 months ago. That I'm fairly new to this position. So I'm right there with you guys. If you're in the K2 classroom, my heart goes out to you. I love those babies. So our Quills and Bills Learning Lab is often a crowd favorite for students and teachers alike. So students are given the opportunity to explore the process of creating a constitutional bill using a historical writing implement. So that's going to be this instrument right here. This is a quill and an inkwell. So students are actually able to write with quill and ink. And you would be surprised at how well most of the students can write with this. So on the slide, you'll see a few products created recently by 2 8th grade students. So at the top, we have the vitamin D law. And this is extending outside time for students during the day with the stipulation that it can be spent learning outside. It doesn't just have to all be playtime, which I feel like a lot of us could get on board with. The second bill we have here is a 5-hour school day, which is reducing school days from 7 hours down to 5 hours. Now, I'm sure students would really love that, but we have a hard enough time as educators fitting everything into 7 hours. So I don't know if that one would go over well. All right, so we also offer virtual field trips, which are an excellent opportunity to have your students engage with Kentucky history from their classroom. So all of our virtual field trips are live 60-minute experiences led by a learning team member here at KHS. And that means these aren't recorded experiences. Your students will be able to interact, ask questions, have their questions answered because it's a live experience. So also, another fun thing to add for virtual field trips is that each trip is accompanied by a post-tour lesson for you to implement in your classroom if you choose. So the next 2 slides, I'm going to talk about 2 of our virtual field trip options that we have that might appeal to you all. All right, so we have Innovation in Industry, the Great Southern Exposition. So this is for your students to kind of get have their ideas sparked by touring our Great Southern Exposition exhibit in our large exhibit called A Kentucky Journey. They'll learn how social and economic changes in Kentucky at the turn of the 20th century inspired a lot of innovation and fueled industrial momentum. You're going to hear me talk about this a lot this session, something called VTS, that's Visual Thinking Strategies. Towards the end of this lesson, I will have you participate in a visual thinking strategies so you'll be able to understand fully what I'm talking about. Just wanted to let you guys know so you're not thinking I'm crazy, expecting you to know what this means. So each one of our virtual field trips is going to include a VTS session of an image. This one depicts an image of the Great Southern Exposition itself. The post-tour activity that comes with this virtual field trip is for your students to design their own invention patent. make a model of it, and possibly come up with a sales pitch or even a poster or advertisement to sell their invention. Another one that we have is Hall of Governors, Civics in Action. Your students will take a journey through the Hall of Governors that we have here at KHS to learn how the characteristics and challenges of Kentucky's highest elected office have changed over time. This includes a VTS session of an image depicting an inauguration from 1904, and that is up here towards the top. And this image below that is just a little sneak peek of the Hall of Governors. If you haven't been here, we just have portraits of all the Kentucky governors that have ever been. We also have a post-tour activity for this virtual field trip, and it'll be your choice, really. You can design a campaign poster to run for elected office, or your students could design a campaign poster for a previous Kentucky governor. And I know I'm kind of going through a lot of this information fast. You might be like, where is all of this? I will break it down for you, and I'll show you everything on our website as well in a few. All right. So my personal favorite resource that we have to offer here at KHS is our traveling trunks. So traveling trunks are a classroom supplement that places Kentucky into the larger US and world history context. Currently, we have 3 active traveling trunks. We have the Civil War in Kentucky, and this will be for upper elementary through high school students. We have Standing on a Soapbox, the women's suffrage movement in Kentucky for high school students. And then Kentuckians in World War II, on the home front and in the war zone. This will be for middle and high school students. We are in the process of piloting our newest traveling trunk on the Underground Railroad, and we're hoping to launch it this spring. So you'll notice the Underground Railroad is also on this timeline. So each of our trunks includes this list of things. There'll be various artifacts connected to the topic that the trunk is on, hands-on artifact activities, collections of primary and secondary sources, and then pre-built lesson plans and activities connected to the Kentucky Academic Standards for Social Studies. On the screen, you'll see a few images of us piloting our Underground Railroad traveling trunk in an 8th grade classroom. So we went ahead and we took this trunk into this classroom, and the students on the screen are participating in an artifact analysis lesson. So they're actually able to hold these replica artifacts and observe different things about them and make connections to the larger context of Kentucky in the US and in the world. Here's a little sneak peek of what's inside our Kentuckians of World War II trunk. I pulled out some of the bigger items and blew them up for you guys. So we have a gas mask, a mess kit, and then a utility belt for a soldier. And you'll see inside there's more than just these 3 items. There's various booklets with readings in it. We have a helmet. And we also have a razor kit and a sewing kit, and then some propaganda from the World War II era. And I do have to say, these aren't just for your typical education classrooms. We have a bunch of librarians that also check out these traveling trunks. So if you're a librarian and you want to check out a traveling trunk, you want to do a virtual field trip, you are more than welcome to do that as well. I don't want you to feel like this is only for classroom teachers. Libraries are also welcome. All right, so if you do happen to work at a Title I school, you are able to apply for scholarships to cover our various learning opportunities for your students. It's super easy. Whenever you go to fill out whatever you're looking for, whether it be a field trip, a traveling trunk, you submit that form, and then there's just a separate form with a few extra questions, and that gets the ball rolling on that scholarship process. So without The scholarship for field trips, it's going to be $5 per student. With the scholarship, that fee is covered. With our traveling trunks, the scholarship will cover the shipping costs to you and the cost of the trunk. You would just pay for the return shipping, or you can drop it off here at KHS for free. The scholarship also pays for the virtual field trips too. All right, so by a show of hands or dropping in the chat, whichever you prefer, how many of you guys have ever heard of National History Day in Kentucky? Anybody? I think I saw a few hands possibly pop up. All right, well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a refresher if you do know about it, or if you have no idea what I'm talking about, this is going to be great for you. So KHS is the Kentucky State affiliate for National History Day. So we organize the regional and state competitions, and we also offer teacher professional development and support, as well as classroom visits to see how you use NHD in your classroom. We've recently just hired a new National History Day coordinator. Her name is Sydney Thaler, and she's recently gone into a few classrooms across the state just to see how people are using National History Day. She takes that information and it helps kind of inform our professional development and what teacher resources you all would need. So I'm going to let some great kids who have gone on to our national competition in College Park, Maryland, kind of explain what NHD is a little bit better than I could, and you can hear their various perspectives. I have a feeling it won't play the sound, so I'm going to stop sharing really quick and make sure it's playing the sound. All right, here we go.
National History Day is a project-based learning experience for students in grades 6 through 12.
They get to pick their own topic within the constraints of the theme and the time period.
You can do an exhibit, you can do a performance, you can write a traditional historical paper, or you can make a website or documentary, which are the digital versions.
It just gives them a lot of freedom and flexibility.
It's a really creative way of flipping the classroom and putting learning in the hands of students.
It's the closest thing our students will do of actually thinking like a historian.
National History Day is a really amazing experience.
It's a great experience to learn about something that you're actually interested in.
When I was a kid, I wasn't doing history, I was just being told history. But what my students are doing on National History Day is that they're doing their research. They're using primary sources. They're coming up with their conclusions, not my conclusions.
I like to start digging a little deeper for the nitty-gritty to find the little specific facts through newspapers, old articles, maybe some films that they had back in the day.
I was reading their journal entries, I was reading their diaries, I was talking to people that knew them.
I learned how to deep dive into a topic and learn more about how to capture someone's personality and capture their whole story in one.
And the skills that they develop through their analysis, their synthesis, the soft skills.
It's like public speaking. And confidence, because they have to learn how to speak to people that they don't know and sell their project.
I think it just brings home the power of the person and of events in their own lives to have that potential for change now and in the future.
All right, so that's just a little overview of what National History Day is. I do have a fun fact for you guys. So this past year, our previous NHD coordinator took a group of students to nationals in College Park, Maryland, and we actually had a Kentucky student win the entire documentary portion of the national competition. I believe he's from Fayette County, but you can check out his video on our website, or you can even search for it on YouTube as well. All right, so what you guys have all been waiting for is our online resources. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up the actual online website and share it with you guys. All right, so hopefully you guys are able to see this. Perfect. I see some heads nodding. I like to see that. All right, so this is going to be our educator page, and this is our field trip page. So this is where you will register for any field trips. You have a lot of mix and match options. You don't have to go to every single site that we have. You can pick and choose what you'd like to do while you're here. And you can also choose the various learning labs that you might want to add on to your field trip. And those learning labs, they no longer cost extra. They're kind of built into the price of a field trip. So I would take advantage of them since they're already built into the price. Right? So if you want to book a field trip, you'll just go down and fill out this lovely form. I know it kind of looks like a lot of things to ask on my screen, but it really isn't that too many things. Then you go ahead and you build your experience for your field trip. And if you're going to be applying for that Title I scholarship, you just click Title I scholarship and hit submit. And now I'll go ahead and show you where that scholarship lives. Over here, it lists out the qualifications so you can take a deeper look at it. And then here's the scholarship application. Just a few additional questions. And like I said, you can apply the scholarship to virtual field trips, in-person field trips, traveling trunks, and even teacher PDs as well. And then you just hit submit. All right. Just going to switch us back over in just a moment after I show you the traveling trunks page. And same deal, you're just going to go to the traveling trunks, and towards the bottom, you'll see submit a reservation. It'll ask you for your 3 time preferences, so like those dates, and these are going to be in 3-week chunks. So you actually get to have the traveling trunk in your classroom for 3 weeks. What you do with it while you have it is totally up to you. If you happen to pass it to the next teacher in your school and they get to use it as well, I think that is also a really great opportunity for you to do, as long as it comes back in a time frame that you have it for. Okay. And hopping back over to the PowerPoint. Sorry for all the back and forth, guys. When my computer completely shut down, something weird just happened, and I'm just trying to roll with it. All right. You guys able to see this PowerPoint again? Perfect. Thank you. All right, so we have our Kentucky Academic Standard connections. These are all housed on our website. And these are going to be Kentucky resource guides full of primary sources for each grade level that are connected to Kentucky-centric standards within CAS. And they'll all be digitalized primary sources as well. So for each grade level on our website, there'll be a button that says kindergarten, first, second, third, all the way down to 12. And every single grade level will have its own document that looks something like this on the screen with those specific Kentucky-centric standards, and then the primary sources listed below. So if you are looking for primary sources to include in your lessons, this is a great place for you guys to kind of look and add to your lessons. Adds a great layer of context for your students. Next up, I'm going to go through and show you our digital collections that we have. So this is our digital collection. This is what it'll look like. And this is going to be where all of our prints, our graphic materials, whether it be a photograph, a painting, a map, this is where all of that is going to live. So if you were to go and click on this link, you could search, say you're looking for coal mining, you type in coal mining, but you only want to look at pictures. It's super easy to use. It's very user-friendly. And you can even refine it more, whether you're looking for specific dates, but it has a wealth of resources on it. If we have a little bit of time at the end, I know my technology snafu kind of limited us. I will jump back on this to share with you guys, but it also is really helpful just to kind of mess around on it yourself. Next up, we have our KHS object catalog. As the name would imply, the object catalog is where we house digital photos of the objects that we have here on our sites. So if you're ever conducting an artifact analysis or want to add a layer of context to a lesson, I suggest visiting the digital catalog. All right, so we also are home to the Kentucky Oral History Commission. The Oral History Commission began in the 1970s and aimed to collect audio on many different Kentucky life experiences and topics. We have audio interviews with coal miners, military veterans, and so much more. The website right now says "Pardon Our Dust" on it. We are updating it and adding some new oral histories, but you still are able to look through the various collections on there. All right. So podcasts are really all the rage right now and a valuable tool in the classroom. I know I listen to one on my way from work every single day. KHS has its very own podcast, and it is called Kentucky Chronicles. And as you can imagine, it is all about Kentucky history. We have it available on almost all platforms. Now it's on Apple Podcasts, as you can see on the screen, but it's also on YouTube as well. So if you're ever interested or you want to use it in the classroom, it's a really great resource to use. I'll play just a little tiny clip so you can get a taste of it.
The right to a high school level education is something that most people take for
You guys able to hear it? Okay, cool.
granted. Indeed, parents today often confront an array of options when it comes to the types of educational opportunities available to their children. But this has not always been the case. Join us today for a discussion with the KHS Research Fellow who studies the Pine Mountain Settlement School, who will talk about shifting views on education in Kentucky as we explore the pages of Kentucky history with Kentucky Chronicles.
So that's just a little snippet of the beginning, but we have it's been going on for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. So there's quite a bit of a backlog on the catalog that you guys can go and listen to. All right, so we are the also host of Kentucky's Commission for America 250. If you're not familiar with America 250, this is a nationwide commission. It's almost in every single state. I think there's a few states that don't have it yet, like Florida doesn't have one. That's the only one that jumps out to me at the moment, but we have one for Kentucky, and it's housed here at the Kentucky Historical Society. America 250 celebrates the 250th year of the United States. So we have a America 250 educator on our learning team. Her name's Maddie Menz, and she's constantly creating a bunch of different classroom resources. So we have document-based questions, primary source packets. I'll show you an artifact analysis short video. She's creating a series of them. They're very interesting. We have VTS PowerPoints, and then she also has a lot of tips of bringing America 250 to your classrooms and to your schools. So I won't play the whole video. I'll just give you a little teaser of it. But this is going to be a part of a 10-part series. This is the 3rd installment, but you can find this just by searching on YouTube, Kentucky Historical Society, and these videos will most likely be one of the first things that pops up on our channel. One of the great things about these artifact analysis videos, especially for the younger grades, there'll be symbols that pop up on the screen to tell teachers when to pause. It'll have you stop and talk about different vocabulary that Maddie might use. So there's lots of guidance built into these videos.
Hi friends! Today's artifact represents family traditions and what life was like in the 1800s in Kentucky. It is a quilt, but one that is completely unique from other quilts in our collection. It is known as the graveyard quilt. Let's take a moment to examine some details sewn into this quilt. The quilt is made of cotton fabric pieces in shades of brown. The 8-point star pattern alternates with blocks made from a brown calico print. Let's take a closer look at the center. We can see a graveyard plot surrounded by a fence with 4 coffins in the upper right-hand side.
And if that catches your attention, feel free to look it up on YouTube. That artifact is actually very cool to see in person. I saw it on my first day here. It lives in our archive, so having this video is really valuable because it is not, it's too delicate to have on display anymore. So your students would be getting a kind of a behind the scenes look by watching this video. All right. So my last online resource that I have for you guys is something that you may already have a physical copy of in your classrooms. Anybody have an Our Stories, Our Service booklet in their classroom? I saw some hands. If you don't have one, if you scan this QR code, this will be a link to a digital one, but over the summer, we did send out copies to every school district in Kentucky for teachers to have a physical copy of this book. So if you don't have one and you would like one, let your district know because they should have a box somewhere in their offices. All right, but this QR code will send you right to a digital copy of it. So Our Stories, Our Service is an exhibit we have here at the History Center right now. It's been here for a little over a year, but this booklet is and that exhibit are dedicated to Kentucky's women veterans. So with Veterans Day coming up, this is a super valuable resource because we have lessons and context in this booklet for grades K all the way to 12. And I just want to shout out our collaborators for this booklet. It was these 4 lovely educators here who are also military veterans. So these are Kentucky educators that collaborated with us to create these lessons. All right. And normally this would be the point of my session where we did an actual activity from this booklet. But because we're virtual, I'm going to switch it up a little bit and share a little bit about visual thinking strategies. And in just a second, when we participate in the VTS session, this could be something that you do to with your students to kind of introduce them to the Our Stories, Our Service lesson that you're doing. All right, so VTS was created by Philip Yenuin, who was a museum educator, and Abigail Housen, who was a psychologist. And they collaborated on this method, visual thinking strategies. And it was really made to help facilitate discussions of visual arts and increase student engagement. So this is a product of 30 plus years. 12 of those years was actually field testing in classrooms. And what came of it was VTS. So VTS has really become a valuable tool in developing visual literacy. And at KHS, we use VTS a lot in our programming, as you saw for the virtual field trips. But we believe that VTS really develops the visual literacy skills and historical understanding of young students. So if you want to use VTS, I'm going to show you the kind of the necessities for a VTS image. So on the screen here, we have Jackson Pollock's Grade Rainbow. Well, this is a really interesting piece. It doesn't provide us with enough to observe and discuss visually. Whereas in the middle here, we have Thanksgiving by Doris Lee. This painting provides ample points of interest to observe and discuss, and students and younger audiences are going to be able to make connections to this image. They have seen crazy family gatherings. They might see people cooking. There's lots of things that they can connect to their own lives while looking at this historic painting. And then lastly, over here towards the end, we have a photograph, and this is from our KHS collections, and it shows a nurse treating a woman. So observers or students would be able to notice many differences between the nurses that they see today and the nurse depicted in this photograph. Because I don't know about you guys, but my nurses don't look like that when I go to the doctor. So your students would be able to point that out. So when you are conducting a VTS session, you ask 3 questions as the facilitator. What's going on in this picture? What do you see that makes you say that? And what more can we find? Your students are going to need a lot more probing than adults would, as you'll see when you guys are the audience and I am the facilitator. I'm not going to ask these questions as much as I would if I was working with students. So we're going to be able to practice this. Like I said, I'll be the facilitator and you guys are going to be responding to my prompts. This would be a great lesson to come before any of the our stories, our service lessons. So I'm going to give you a few silent moments to view this image. I would normally give students longer, but you guys are adults and I think you can handle looking at the image a little bit quicker than your students might be able to. So I'm going to stop talking and you guys go ahead and take a few silent moments to look at this. All right, so for the sake of time, I'm going to stop and I'm going to start asking those questions, okay? All right, so what's going on in this picture? Feel free to unmute yourself or drop your answers into the chat. What's going on in this picture? And what do you see that makes you say that? Maybe women voters, they look like they are being protected by police. People are having a picture taken of their group. Looks like aid workers during the war. What's making you say that, Sarah? Nurses going to war, a group of women in front of a statue. Nurses or suffrage. Go ahead, Sarah.
I'm sorry. No, I was just looking at their bands and their hats all matching. They look like they have an actual uniform on and they're matching armbands.
No, those are great observations. I see some other people dropping in the chat. maybe Red Cross, nurses, women contributing to the war efforts because of their uniforms. Group picture, armbands, there's military guys. What do you see in the background? What can you find in the background? German language. Horse and rider statue. I do see some smiling, so not necessarily a somber picture. Oh, I do see some smiling in there. I've never noticed the smiling. A syrup store. Yeah, it does say maple there. Factory workers. Some of you saying like a different language. Yeah, I am able to make out maple, but I'm not 100% sure what that other word is. All right, so same thing. I'm going to flip to a different image. I'm going to give you a few silent moments. And you guys just take a look and I'll start asking those questions again. Already have some people dropping stuff into the chat. I love the participation. Lots of call center, telephone operators, sewing factory, dispatch office for telephone operators, switchboard operators. And I'm assuming a lot of you are saying war room communications, switchboard, because you're seeing these switchboards in the actual image. A woman overseeing the operators, good. And like I said, you'll be having to ask those 3 questions a lot more if you're using this with students. But you guys are adults, so you're able to kind of remember the questions and apply the context that I would normally be probing students for. The coat sleeves, they have chevrons on them. Communication center. Yeah, all of these are really great observations. You're using your background, your historical understanding from previous experiences and putting them into what you think this image might be of. Very good. Could be during war efforts. Chevrons on the uniforms usually mean military. There's a supervisor. Yes, these are all really great answers. All right. So that concludes our 2 VTS sessions there. And like I said, you could use this at the beginning of our stories, our service, but I find it's easier to kind of navigate visual thinking strategies if you've participated as an observer yourself. So I really appreciate you guys wanting to actually participate. To provide a little bit of closure to a VTS session, I find it's helpful to add a context to the image that you've used. So both of the photographs, this one on the screen and then that previous one, are depicting a group of women called the Hello Girls, who served as phone operators in World War I. So a lot of you were correct in that assumption. I have 2 facts for you. One of them is a fun fact, at least to me, and then the other one is a not so fun fact about the Hello Girls. So a Hello Girl could transfer 10 calls in the time it took a male counterpart to transfer 1 call. So they were very good at what they did. And they saved a lot of lives being able to do this so quickly and transmit that crucial World War I information to the people it needed to go to. The not so fun fact that I have for you guys about the Hello Girls is that they were not recognized for their military service until 1977. And as you know, World War I is in the early 1900s. 1977 is wrapping out the end of the 1900s. So a lot of the Hello Girls, they were never recognized for their service while they were still alive. So like I said, VTS is a really great strategy to use, especially if you have younger students, but you can use it at any age. You guys are adults and we just did it. And then also too, if you're reading and you're a librarian and you're reading a book, or you're a classroom teacher and you're reading a book, doing one with a historic image that kind of connects to your book is a great way to introduce any content from a book. All right, so wrapping out our session tonight, I just want to plug this really quickly. We have this summer coming up our Teaching Kentucky History Immersive Institute. This is going to be from July 7th to the 11th of 2025. It is a 5-day content-rich professional learning opportunity with topics. Our topics are going to be Indigenous populations, European settlement, and the role of Kentucky in the American Revolution. So you will spend, out of those 5 days, you'll spend 3 days here at our 3 sites in downtown Frankfort. And then 2 days, we will be in the field at various historic sites across Kentucky. One of the big perks that I like to share about this is most of the associated costs with travel, lodging, and then some food is going to be covered by the Kentucky Historical Society. So if you're one of the 20 participants in this, most of those associated costs will be covered. If you scan this QR code, you'll be able to hop on to the application for it. Applications close December 15th. And like I said, we are taking 20 people for this professional learning opportunity. One last thing about it, we are not trying to just solely focus on Central Kentucky. We want educators from across the state. So when we are selecting various educators, we want to make sure we cover a diverse range of them. So that'll be from northern, central, to the west, to the east. We want to make sure we encompass all educators in Kentucky. So these are our social media handles if you're interested. And then I just want to thank you guys again for bearing with my technology issues at the beginning. I think we got into a groove there, but also I want to thank you for participating and providing really thoughtful answers to those VTS sessions. And then also being able and willing to answer my many questions I had for you. It definitely made it a really great experience for me tonight. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to email me. I'm on my email a majority of the day, so I am able to respond fast to you. And then if you would like to look at any more of our resources, you can scan this QR code. But I'm more than willing to answer any questions you have about any experience that I talked about today, or even helping you book a specific field trip or traveling trunk or virtual field trip. But I appreciate you guys for hanging in there with me. I know it's almost time for dinner, but I will go ahead and stop sharing. And if you have any questions now that I can answer, I'm totally willing.
Thank you so much, Elsie. That was wonderful. And there's been even new things added just in the last little bit. So that is one reason why we definitely wanted to invite you all back to share. You all are such a wealth of information for educators in the state. So we will definitely add all of this to the recharging station. So you can find that one on the Wakelet. And then we'll drop in the resources too on that resources line. So thank you so much. This was wonderful. I'm dropping the evaluation Remember, this is how you mark your attendance for being on tonight's session. If you ever, and the Twitter handle is KYHIS and then SOC for Kentucky Historical Society. Is that right? Did I get that right, Elsie? I think I did.
I believe you did. I'll drop
It's
it in the
on
chat really
yeah.
quick too.
It's on the bottom of the evaluation. KYHISTSOC. Sorry, it's on the bottom of the evaluation. So yeah. So it's on the bottom of the evaluation, and here's the evaluation again. See, there you go. So yeah, this was absolutely great. If you all do have any questions, we'll be on for just a bit. I know there was lots of information. I mean, and that's the great thing is there's lots of information. And the wonderful thing about Kentucky Historical Society is most all of it's free. And if it's not free, most all of you teach at a Title I school. So they do provide the scholarships, which is amazing. And like I said, this is not the only event that we're going to be doing with Kentucky Historical Society. We've got a couple different things that we're going to be partnering with them on, and we'll take you all up to a trip to actually do some document-based questions. So you'll actually get to see on site for yourselves and work with their archivists. So I'm really excited about that as well. Elsie, thank you so very much. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, guys.